Unique handcrafted pizza and glass of wine, the perfect place for an intimate night or an evening with friends. Choices range from spicy Italian sausage and sweet roasted peppers to the one-of-a-kind nacho chicken pizza layered with blue corn tortilla chips. The approachable wine list offers over 30 by the glass with special emphasis on wines from Washington State. End your night with one of Cafe Latte's melt-in-your-mouth desserts, 850 Grand Avenue, St. Paul.
Robbins Kaplan LLP protects and defends American Indian tribes because for too long they have faced a competitive disadvantage when litigating against powerful forces. With its American Indian law and policy practice, Robbins Kaplan LLP seeks to redefine excellence for high-stakes litigation representation in Indian country. Founded and led by former United States attorneys Brendan Johnson and Tim Purdon, their American Indian law and policy practice exists to bring justice to tribal clients whose claims in the past have been dismissed or ignored due to their underdog status. Their American Indian law lawyers understand the challenges tribes face when state and local government infringe on tribal sovereignty and the federal government neglects its trust responsibilities. Their passion for tribal sovereignty and self-determination is the driving force behind their practice, fueling their tribal advice and advocacy, especially when tribes are forced to litigate against powerful interests. Robbins Kaplan LLP, representing American Indian tribes, tribal government boards and commissions, individual tribal members, and American Indian business and business concerns. For more information, visit robinskaplan.com.
With your AM 950 weather, I'm Hunter Haas. Saturday, mostly cloudy with a high near 40. Sunday, mostly sunny with a high near 46. And Monday, mostly sunny with a high near 51.
Don't miss the Home Improvement and Design Expo this Saturday at the Veterans Memorial Community Center in Inver Grove Heights. See up to 150 home improvement experts. The Home Improvement and Design Expo this Saturday only. It's the smart place to start your home improvement projects. See it all at expoguys.com. That's expoguys.com.
This hour is supported by Robbins Kaplan LLP, dedicated to redefining excellence for high-stakes litigation representation in Indian country.
We went to all the powwows when we were young. At that time, children could not dance. Only people over 50 years of age could dance. Most people do not know this, that the government forbid children to dance Indian. And that was so they could wipe out the culture of the young people, and then finally the new generation would never know what happened.
I'm a member of the American Indian movement, and I'm from the indigenous nations of the Western Hemisphere.
We American Indians, we can be anything we want to be, except American Indians.
You were here long before any of us were here.
Bonjour, everybody. My name is Peggy Flanagan. I'm from the White Earth Nation, and my family's the Wolf Clan.
There was trouble in Custer, South Dakota yesterday.
That the American Indian movement is a very proud, continuing part of American Indian society. I thank you.
But what I tell you is that we are not backing down. We're here, we'll stand here, because we have been here for 10,000 years. We're the home team, and we're not going anywhere. You're rich. Thank you.
Welcome to Native Roots Radio Presents I'm Awake. I'm your host, Robert Pilot. Hey, we're just going to be checking in with Winona LaDuke here, and we have a lot to talk about, Winona. And I know, thank you, Peeny Gigi, for being on, as always. You didn't make it in the PUC, I see, and what's going on with that? Are we moving on, or we got a woman of color? Is she? What's going on?
Yeah, no, good thing. So as people may know, I applied for a seat on the Public Utilities Commission of Minnesota. I feel like I am actually quite qualified, having spent most of my life working on energy policy issues from a tribal perspective. I think that politically I was a little challenging for Minnesota, but one day people like me who have really innovative and visionary ideas from years of experience in energy policy should be on the Minnesota Public Utilities Commission. I want to congratulate them. They seem to have appointed a woman of color, Valerie Means, who is the first woman of color on the Public Utilities Commission in 30 years. I think probably the first woman of color. Mm-hmm. So I want to feel like that maybe I helped move that a little bit so we wouldn't seat another white man on another commission in Minnesota. I'm not sure about her industry interests, but, I'm going to wish that sister the best and hope that, I'm not against the Public Utilities Commission. I just want the Public Utilities Commission to work for the people, not a bunch of corporations. and I want learned and wise thinking, and not thinking where you're crying about how a corporation made you do something. I want a Public Utilities Commission that acts like grown-ups, and I want a state that acts like grown-ups when facing major corporations that intend to destroy our water. So that was a little sad, but I just want to say that I myself believe that we should have a tribal Public Utilities Commission, and I'm hoping that the Minnesota Chippewa tribe, or that the tribes of the north, and my own tribe, White Earth, has our own Public Utilities Commission, and we set up our own renewable energy and infrastructure, because we are certainly more visionary than the state of Minnesota. And in the time of the Green New Deal, we will be putting up more solar and wind, and we invite the state of Minnesota to try to catch up. That's what I'd say.
Well, let me segue into this. Pipelines are still going on. What's going on with that? I mean,
well, Enbridge did announce a 1-year delay in the completion of the pipeline, but they have been up core drilling on the Mississippi and moving pipes all over Minnesota. I was up there. I ride around all my territory all the time, and I did see a bunch of pipes moving. Enbridge continues to move ahead, but at the same time, they are facing challenges. As I told you last week, their bid for a tunnel under the Straits of Mackinac was deemed unconstitutional. They still don't have bad rivers consent, and the DOC, Department of Commerce, filing to overturn the certificate of need. No certificate of need, no pipeline, is a problem for Enbridge. I did give Al Monaco last week. I did give him his own Indian name, because white guys get Indian names all the time for all kinds of dumb stuff. But I name him Atage Wanini, which means a gambling man. Enbridge continues to move ahead, but because try to move ahead, but they're not doing well. I know they got their shareholders meeting coming up in May, and I'm wondering how Al's going to report to the shareholders his failures. But in the meantime, these guys like Minnesotans for Line 3 are really getting much, much more aggressive. And I just noticed, I don't really look at their Facebook or anything like that, but I got sent some notes where they're just hating on me personally. And I kind of take a little offense, because I don't hate them personally. And just to be honest, I'm trying to protect their water too.
That's right.
Even if they hate on me, I'm still trying to protect their water. So I was a little concerned about the rise of hatred in the, who I assume is a bunch of white males who work for the Minnesotans for Line 3 are affiliated with that, personal hating on me, and some kind of veiled threats upon me. And so I'm concerned about that. I want to say that. But, being me and living in a glorious world, we continue even if there's haters. That's my feeling, Robert. Just continue on. Let them hate. Let them, it's sad that they are so miserable in their lives.
That's right. Well, a lot of strong talk when you're behind a keyboard. We call that gutless where I come from. What about the Trump law? What's going on? What's going on there, Winona?
Right. So I understand. I haven't quite got a grasp of Donald Trump's latest fantasy about the extent of his power. Can you just listen to that one statement? Because that's what I think's going on here. Once again, Donald Trump believes that he is the supreme commander of the world, and he is, I believe he's trying to take jurisdiction over permitting, fossil fuel pipelines and probably maybe Line 3. But the state of Minnesota has the jurisdiction to permit this pipeline. Donald Trump does not have the jurisdiction to permit this pipeline. Now, he may cause some more problems, but, that pipeline is now steadily into the courts. And if we look at the rest of the court cases around North America, courts aren't ruling in favor of pipelines because their time is over. And people are saying, well, what are you going to do then? Are you going to move to rail? And my position is, maybe we should just quit shipping really dangerous stuff on rail or in pipe. No time like the present to transition. Which just kind of reminds me of this. This week I had some time with some Six Nations people. I spent some time with some Oneida people over in Wisconsin Territory at that Indian community school. That was amazing for me. I had a good visit with Mark Powless there. I missed some of my Ninham pals and the others, but I did that, and I was with a Seneca friend of mine, Joe Hill, and then some others were talking to me this last week. I heard a lot about this one dish, one spoon treaty. And it's a wampum and a treaty. There was an agreement made a long time ago between the Haudenosaunee and the Anishinaabe. And that treaty, they say it was about 1701. describes an agreement for sharing our hunting territory among our nations, recognizing that all people share the territory and are expected to limit the game they take to leave enough for others, and the continued abundance and viability of hunting grounds in the future. Kind of a paraphrasing, but really, in this moment that we are in, we got to remember, like, no matter how fancy we think we are, no matter how connected to the internet we are, no matter how clever we are, one dish, one spoon. We all drink the same water. We all breathe the same air. And this week, as climate change, Mother Earth gave us a little slam with the cyclone bomb storm that, is here in the north and hit our northern territory. We are looking at actually snow that is yellow and orange in color. And, I just want to point that out. That's like super unusual. And the reason for that is that this storm picked up a bunch of dust off of the laid to waste fields of Texas and brought it our way. And when it brought it our way, it dumped all this snow that, I don't know if it has fracking waste in it or glyphosate on my pristine lakes in the north and on our pristine land in the north. And so I just returned to one bowl, one spoon. What happens someplace else where they make poor decisions will affect our beautiful territory. That's why we all got to work together. And
that's right.
Yeah,
That's right.
I just look at this big picture, and 1710, our people said that, and that teaching in that wampum belt, continues today. And, just kind of like on the other side of that, I'm writing this article, but I'm always trying to write one article because the world is so full of interesting things. But this last week, they had an interesting thing happen at Navajo Nation, which is the Navajo Nation, kind of a surprise to everyone, but a result of hopefully some wisdom and learned experience and a little bit of courage, did not purchase an aging coal generator. That's the Navajo Generating Station, NGS, like a 50-year-old coal generator. They didn't mortgage themselves anymore to keep alive a coal generator. They also, I don't believe that they either also purchased a coal strip mine from Peabody Coal, which had gone bankrupt. And, so this moment is when you have the largest tribe in the country, which has been generating power for New Mexico and Arizona and Nevada for years, all of a sudden starts closing down old stuff. And you know what those guys did at Kayenta? Those guys put up 13,000. They put up 27 megawatts of solar.
Right on.
And I said, one bowl, one spoon, one dish, one spoon, man. Let the sun shine on us from the Navajo decision. So, in the face of my Governor Waltz not believing that I should serve on the Public Utilities Commission, what I would say is that nationally and internationally, enlightenment is coming.
That's right.
And a lot of that enlightenment seems to be led by native nations, not by states.
That's right. So, you had a interesting week, too, missing your cell phone. And I know 5G is coming up, and people are really concerned about that, those airwaves.
Right. I just want to say, I want to make an announcement that I am a cell phone addict. No, not really.
Hi,
but,
Winona.
Yeah, I just, so it's super interesting how addicted you get to stuff. And so I, in my kind of overwhelmed, exhausted travel schedule this week where I got kind of super sick, I left my phone, and I hope it returns today to someplace in northern Minnesota. It was found. But it was interesting being without a phone, for 4 or 5 days, and how that affected my life. Some people's a little upset with me. They couldn't get a hold of me, but, basically I got online. And I got some writing done. But I had also noticed that holding the phone bothered my hand. And it, bothered my hands a lot. It seemed like it was off charging, my S8 Galaxy Samsung off charging some radiation. Well, what's happening is that, these phones are like really powerful beings unto themselves. And now, because, they want to watch, sports on their telephone, on your phone, and surf and instantly download. 5G is what we are looking at in Verizon and AT&T, and I believe it's coming to Minneapolis.
Right.
Well, there's a lot of studies that indicate that those are kind of dangerous.
Right.
At a certain point, your levels of exposure to all of these waves of different stuff going through urban areas and increasingly rural areas, they affect you. And there's some studies on it. Some cities, I believe, are banning 5G.
Yep.
And I want our tribes to look at this, to say, we have jurisdiction over our airspace, and 5G is not us. And I want people to actually think about when enough is enough.
That's right.
Like at what point we got enough internet access or bandwidth or whatever, and we're okay. I think maybe just a week without a cell phone or 5 days without a cell phone kind of like made me take a breath, and I'm okay.
That's right.
I just want you all to know, like, you could put it down for a day, maybe two, and you'll be okay.
That's right. That's good advice,
I'm your
Winona.
coach.
That's good
I'm your
advice.
post-fossil fuels and post-cell phone coach.
All
right.
Yeah. Well, hey, Peeny Gigi, for all you do and checking in with us. Thank you. This has been Winona LaDuke of Honor the Earth, and she does many, many other things. Thank you again for being on. Next up, Mary Kunesh Podein. You're listening to Native Roots Radio presents I'm Awake.
Miigwech.
We are Alusa Nation.
Minnesota has the only original wolf population in the continental United States, and 80% of Minnesotans believe the wolf should be protected. Howling for Wolves is asking Minnesotans to respect our true wildlife manager, the wolf. Their survival is critical to our ecosystems, our communities, and even our economy. As highly intelligent animals with strong social bonds, Minnesota wolves deserve to be protected and admired. Learn more at howlingforwolves.org. Let's live and let howl.
The Neighborhood Cafe is a locally owned and operated business and proud sponsor of I'm Awake. Enjoy a great happy hour Tuesday through Saturday from 3 to 6 p.m. with specials on food and drinks. The Neighborhood Cafe serves breakfast, lunch, and dinner, all made from scratch daily. Located next to O'Gara's in St. Paul off Snelling and Selby, stop in and try one of their specialty sandwiches or delicious burgers paired with a local craft beer. More at theneighborhoodcafe.com.
J&S Bean Factory is a native-owned, community-supported, cozy, artsy coffee shop which offers roasted on-site beans, live music, and baked goods. Relax in the beautiful outside patio. City Pages writes, voted top 10 coffee shops. Tucked into a quiet corner of St. Paul's Highland Park neighborhood, this coffee shop roasts beans on-site from the best coffee-growing countries in the world. Located at 1518 Randolph Avenue, St. Paul. The good stuff.
Native-owned Meg Mechanical is your local heating, ventilation, and air conditioning professional. Meg has the experience needed to diagnose and repair your heating and air conditioning systems. Whether repair or complete mechanical design, we do it all. No job is too big or too small. Meg Mechanical has completed projects as large as U.S. Bank Stadium and will provide the same great service in your home. Visit magmechanical.com or call 612-655-5339. Please remember Mag Mechanical when you have HVAC needs. Mention this ad to receive 1 hour of free service.
The Downtowner Woodfire Grill in St. Paul is the perfect choice for breakfast, lunch, and dinner 7 days a week. Offering daily fresh seafood specials, fire-roasted meats, exquisite pizza, and half-price bottles of wine on Mondays and Tuesdays, except on Excel Energy event nights. Once you experience their cozy fireside dining, extensive wine list, and bar, you'll be back for more. Gift certificates and private dining room for parties available. Located at 253 West 7th Street with plenty of free parking or online at downtownerwoodfire.com.
When we go out to browse for books and grab something to eat, Moon Palace Books is where we go.
This unique bookstore is located at 3032 Minnehaha Avenue in Minneapolis, just minutes from St. Paul.
A great place to find one-of-a-kind books, cards, and great gifts.
Geek Glove Cafe at Moon Palace Books has cold-pressed coffee, pizza, salads.
Local, organic, fair trade, vegan, carnivore options.
Beer and wine.
Community performance room.
Great parking.
What are we waiting for? Let's go
to Moon Palace Books, 3032 Minnehaha Avenue, Minneapolis.
Welcome back to Native Roots Radio presents I'm Awake. I'm your host, Wakanja Hade. Hey, Peeny Gigi to Winona LaDuke and all she does.
This portion of the show is brought to you by Midwest All-Star Wrestling and the Downtowner Fire Grill.
Hey, next up we have Mary Kunesh Podein, who's House Representative of the great state of Minnesota, and here she is.
We are Alusa Nation.
Welcome back to Native Roots Radio Presents I'm Awake. I'm your host, Robert. Hey, that's not her right now. But you know what I want to do really quick is, seeing that we got an extra 5 minutes, and I think we got time to do this. Let's pop everybody's microphones up, and let's talk to our next guest, Drew Nicholas, and he's a director and producer and of the documentary Blood Memory. And, Wendy and I got a chance to see it, and I went and saw it. And let's talk a little bit, first a little bit about the documentary, and then secondly, how you got involved, and thirdly, whatever comes to our mind.
Oh, sure.
Welcome.
Yeah, well, thank you. My name is Drew Nicholas. Thanks for having me on here. So the documentary follows the history of removal through boarding schools, but specifically adoption. Native American children being adopted into mostly white homes and assimilated through that process. And then it documents how the Indian Child Welfare Act got passed in 1978. We follow a woman named Sandy Whitehawk who was removed prior to that law. And then we follow a attorney who is working to dismantle that law currently in the courts. And so we parallel these two stories around the Indian Child Welfare Act and why culture is important, why identity is important, and sort of the ending takes you to the 2015. Sandy Whitehawk brought a ceremony for those who had been removed. She welcomes them back into the community through this song and ceremony and a gathering for adoptees that they had. And she brought it home to the Rosebud Reservation for the first time in 2015. And that's the meat of the documentary. That's what we follow. And 60 years after her removal, she came back to Rosebud.
Yeah, full circle. Wendy, you saw the documentary. What struck you?
I love the documentary. There were a lot of sad stories about Native children being adopted into white families and kind of them not having a good experience in the white family home. So that kind of struck me as being pretty sad, and that the children just lost their culture, they lost their language, they lost everything it's really in their DNA. So.
It was a couple of generations of lost people, and I think one of the things about changing ICWA would be the first attack on Native Americans. I heard one lawyer speak of, I do believe.
Yeah. So just clarify the question a little bit in terms of like the if ICWA goes away, sort of what the threat is there. Basically. What they're trying to do is get the courts to rule that ICWA. Well, it was ruled unconstitutional in the state of Texas in October of 2018, and so now it's being appealed in Louisiana. That piece is not in the film, but the film leads all the way up to that case is about to happen, and you see the behind the scenes of how they're positioning and these arguments and how they're lobbying the courts to make certain decisions and essentially try and return ICWA to the Supreme Court. That's their ultimate goal. In 2013, the Baby Veronica case happened. That was a Supreme Court decision with a Cherokee girl who was removed from her biological father. It's a really complicated case, but basically the court ruled against ICWA, and since then, since 2013, this group of attorneys and a conservative group called the Goldwater Institute out of Phoenix has been just stockpiling cases in all different regions. And an attorney here in Minnesota named Mark Fidler is that main character, and you see how he is part of that process and why they want it off the books.
Yeah, it's really interesting, too, because I think... Mark Fidler is a very interesting person with his background. He's an enrolled member. His father was
in the military, so he had a strict upbringing and a real disciplined upbringing, and he liked his boarding school, which was interesting in the story too. But hey, we're gonna come right back after this short break. You're listening to Native Roots Radio presents I'm Awake, and we're with Drew Nicholas of Blood Memory Documentary.
We are Alusa Nation. Nation. We are Alusa Nation.
J. Selby's, an airy plant-based cafe serving up American classics, nestled in the heart of St. Paul in the historic Cathedral Hill neighborhood at 169 Victoria Street. J. Selby's serves great plant-based food and only plant-based foods where customer service is a priority, great food a tradition, and a comfortable, cool space for like-minded people to gather and enjoy a sustainable, environmentally friendly, and compassionate meal. As the Star Tribune writes, J. Selby's is an innovative vegan restaurant that does a spot-on Big Mac. It's a good day for good food.
I heard sex trafficking happens a lot in Indian country. What is that?
Here are some of the real reasons why sex trafficking happens in Indian country. Unequal gender roles that were forced on us by colonization. Communities don't have enough resources. Silence around domestic and sexual violence. Lack of attention and justice for missing and murdered Indigenous people. There's a lot of behavior that keeps our communities out of balance. These are just a few true reasons why Native communities are targeted by traffickers. When these acts of violence happen in our communities, it opens us all up for exploitation.
Sponsored by the Minnesota Indian Women's Sexual Assault Coalition.
MN350 is a grassroots, volunteer-driven organization fighting for climate justice and a swift transition away from a fossil fuel-based economy. To get involved, visit mn350.org or find us on Facebook at MN350. Building a climate movement in Minnesota.
J&S Bean Factory is a Native-owned, community-supported, cozy, artsy coffee shop which offers roasted on-site beans, live music, and baked goods. Relax in the beautiful outside patio. City Pages writes, voted top 10 coffee shops. Tucked into a quiet corner of St. Paul's Highland Park neighborhood, this coffee shop roasts beans on-site from the best coffee-growing countries in the world. Located at 1518 Randolph Avenue, St. Paul. The good stuff.
Ho Chunk Gaming Wisconsin, wherever you are and however you like it, we're just the place you're looking for. 6 unique, fun, exciting, winning destinations located throughout central Wisconsin. Make your rounds to Wittenberg, Nakusa, Black River Falls, Toma, Madison, or Wisconsin Dells for the hottest slots, most exciting games, award-winning guest service, delicious food and spirits, lodging, and live entertainment. Join the Ho Chunk Gaming Rewards Club for free. And with a single card, you can earn valuable points no matter which of the 6 locations you choose to play. That means more exclusive offers, giveaways, cash back, discounts, and much more. Visit us online to see all we have to offer and find the fun times nearest you at HoChunkGaming.com. So wherever you are and however you like it, we're just the place you're looking for. Ho Chunk Gaming Wisconsin, Wittenberg, Nakusa, Black River Falls, Toma, Madison, and Wisconsin Dells.
Experience the difference. Ho Chunk Gaming Wisconsin.
Must be 21 or over to play.
With your AM 950 weather, this is Eric Nelson. Today you can expect scattered sprinkles with a high near 39 and a low around 25. Sunday, patchy fog before 9 a.m. and then clearing up to mostly sunny skies. High 48 and a low around 29. Monday will be rainy with a high of 52 and a low around 30. EatLocalMinnesota.com's restaurant of the week is Milda's Cafe. This unique local restaurant offers one-of-a-kind hot dish specials every day and authentic Finnish pasties on Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. Located at 1720 Glenwood Avenue in Minneapolis, just east of Penn.
Welcome back to Native Roots Radio presents I'm Awake. I'm your host, Robert Pilot.
And this portion of the show is brought to you by Moon Palace Bookstore and Bee Resale.
Hey, good thing we're a little light on our feet nowadays here after doing this for 3 years.
Yeah, a couple of snafus. That's okay. We recover.
Well, I was quickly to blame someone else, but I guess it's everybody's blame, huh?
Hey, we human beings.
Curtis? Hey, we're back here with a really pretty serious, real serious documentary called Blood Memory. And first of all, I really liked the name. And then I caught when she said it, too, which was, I always want to see how things are. Drew Nicholas is here with us, and he's the producer and director of this great documentary that's just I just saw it at the film festival and the Q&A, and I know it's been out for a little bit, and I knew you had a Q&A at St. Paul, or not St. Paul College, but
Metro State.
Metro State, thank you. Yeah. And so welcome back. That's just a jump over what we were just talking about. Very interesting on how, Mark Vidler started or helped start ICWA, a law office in '93 in Minneapolis, and that's what confused me because it was just like, well, here's an upstanding young Native man, and he's a lawyer. He's doing really well, and as the story goes on, he's trying to get rid of ICWA, basically, in the way it is right now.
Tell our audience what ICWA stands for.
Sure. Oh, yeah, we didn't do that, yeah. So ICWA, ICWA, is the Indian Child Welfare Act, and that's that law that was passed in 1978 that we mentioned earlier. And basically the goal of that law was to stem a systematic removal of indigenous children. So it started way back. But by the late 1960s, like 1968, 69, they did a survey led by a group of mothers and grandmothers from Spirit Lake, and they found that 25 to 35% of Native kids across the country disappeared through boarding schools and adoption. And so they said we need to do something to stop this. They lobbied for 10 years with the Association on American Indian Affairs, and then got Senator Aberesk from South Dakota to sponsor a bill. And then he pushed it through, and on the last day of being in Congress, got it passed.
It's interesting, too. He's still alive.
Yeah, we interviewed him in the film.
Because I've seen him, I've seen that film clip of the young lady that's talking to him, and that was great that you found him because, wow, there he is. Because he was asking the right questions. He was asking, it was coming from his heart. What the heck's going on here?
Really interesting, too, is he grew up in Sandy's hometown. So she was born in Wood, South Dakota, which is population maybe 200. But his father had a mercantile store in Mission on the reservation. So he grew up like on the reservation. And, I don't know, that's just an interesting parallel that he grew up the life that she was removed from.
Wow. You connect the dots, and you just are totally amazed connecting from backwards. So one of the things that I don't know if I want to cut to the chase like this, but I know we talked about this during the documentary. It seemed like Mark, who is a quarter Native American, 25%, and would make his kids. He married a white lady, make his kids an eighth. That he was somewhat bitter. He brought up, and his body language was very interesting during the documentary about he wasn't happy that his kids weren't able to be enrolled. Mm-hmm. Did you catch that too, Wen?
Yeah, I did. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean that's definitely a big piece of his sort of legal argument here with ICWA, because with that Veronica case I mentioned in the previous segment, there was the big debate. The thing that played out in the public court on social media, on Dr. Phil, was that she's 1.2% Native. Mm-hmm. So this child has a lot other histories than her Native history. So the big question became in that case, what was being played out in public opinion was, well, how Native is this child? Like, how Native are these kids that are being protected by ICWA?
Right. And then you talk about the BIA, who is really a forefront of blood quantum, and trying to get rid of us, and then you have the other side where African American is the one drop rule, so they're trying to keep them down so they know who they are, and it's a bizarre thing when you think of those two extremes.
Yeah. And I mean, you could easily make an entire documentary just on blood quantum, and we, especially, as a white filmmaker going into that, going down that road was a very, how far do we want to tiptoe down this path? Because it can very easily take us away from the adoption and the boarding school piece, but it's still a systematic, erasure, a policy of systematic erasure, and it's playing out through this process. So
right, and we talk about in the next portion of our show, Wendy talks about our sacred animals, and I remember there was a law that they were trying to get out of where you couldn't film at these factory farms, making it illegal, and basically they were throwing out the same bill, cutting and pasting, and all over the country trying to get people to bite on this, and it's similar to the against ICWA law there.
Yeah. I mean, what they're doing with that, the goal, as with anybody who's trying to address a law, whether it be for good or bad, which is what I learned throughout the filmmaking process. I didn't come into this having a real sense of how our legal system actually functions. But I learned that it's not illegal, first of all. It's not illegal to cut and paste your argument and put it in, and to work together and to coordinate cases. And the intention of that is to get differing opinions in different districts so that you can say, hey, literally, Chrissy Nemo, the Cherokee Nation Assistant Attorney General in our film says, hey, Supreme Court, there's different cases out here. You need to take it. You need to decide it. And that's how you get the Supreme Court to make a decision. So there was a lot of debate about that in the film. And Mark does get heated in the film because I was taking those questions that I was getting from other folks of, oh, this is very skeptical, and throwing it at him and asking him over and over again, well, is there a moral piece? Even though it's not illegal, is there a moral question? Mm-hmm. And we got some really interesting reaction in the film from that.
Yeah, a lot of body language. Hey, we have, do you mind taking a call?
Sure.
Hey, we have Carson West from Tucson, Arizona calling in. Hey, Dago, what's up?
I'm just calling to add something to what you guys are talking about. I heard Wendy was saying something, and when you guys are all saying something that's really stirring my memory and stuff. My mom was victimized by those people when she was a young girl. She was sent to a boarding school. My grandfather, my Choka Howard McKee, was out of town at the time, and when he got home, found out his daughter was taken away by those people. He went and kidnapped her back. They were going to throw him in jail. They were probably going to do some dastardly shit, excuse my language, dastardly stuff to him, because he had taken his daughter back out of that situation, So the one thing they're not even considering is the fact that we still have elders that are alive that from way back in the time they were victimized by that whole mentality, and they're still doing it to this day. You got less than a percentage in our entirety of a person that's saying that, hey, it wasn't good for me to be in that setting. That's ridiculous, man. Because we have generations, man, that are still mourning from things that happened back in the 1800s. I carry around in my chest things that didn't even happen to me. Something that happened to my ancestors. I still have. Okay, now how Indian am I? Well, my system hasn't changed to meet this McDonald's generation. I'm still a fry-bred Indian, man. And the thing is, man, we had a thing back then that was automatic for all the tribes. It was feast or famine. Our systems were set up for that, right? Mm-hmm. Okay, so since we're not in the feast or famine situation, you go for a while before you get to eat again, right? So when you do get to eat, you have to slam food, right? Mm-hmm. So the system was like this, man. We're all getting fat because we don't have the famine part. We got the feast, we got the McDonald's, we got all that garbage. Anyway, so, the thing is, it all adds up to something that's real negative for us, man. Mm-hmm. She was saying something about how it was really bad for those kids to go through that situation. Absolutely. You're never going to find if you have a native family living next to a white family, they may be, say, for instance, they're alcoholic families. Then the white folks are going to have a different way to treat that issue that they have than it's going to be the natives treating that issue that they have. No matter what, it's the same outcome as to become clean and sober, right? but it's going to be different because the whole thing is set up differently for us. It's just not going to work out for us in that white man setting, man. You know. So what I remember when they passed that law about the Child Welfare Act, I remember that and how good that was for, because our kids were no longer being stressed and taken away by the courts. If the parents weren't able to handle their kids at the time, maybe because of addiction or whatever, then they went to family members. No matter what, they did not get caught up in that system to where they assimilate them and erase identities. You know, that's terrible, man. You know, because when you start to thinking that way, I'm going to make this as short as I can. When you start thinking with that mentality, you're challenging the Creator's thoughts, man. The Creator thought a lot about me, man, to make me a whole chunk Indian man, make me of an Eagle Clan. He did some thinking there, and I really thank him for that. You know, I mean, I got every reason to give thanks. You know. But you know, hey, I appreciate this this documentation that you guys are doing and how you're going to get it out. And I know you guys are up against some fools up in the in the political scene. You know, they're trying to erase some things again. You know, they're like we haven't been hurt enough as it is in the past year and at the moment. You know, I mean, this conversation really gets me going. I mean, I wish I was sitting there in the studio with you guys right now because, man, I'd have some questions and I'd have some thoughts, man, that I'd be putting out there, you know. So, I mean, I appreciate you taking the time to listen, you know, and let me blab and jabber on, you know.
Peeny Gigi, Dega. Hey, that was our correspondent down in Tucson. Hey, so any thoughts on that? I think...
Yeah. Oh, yeah, for sure. Well, firstly, I want to say, being out in Tucson, we have a screening out there in Glendale at the Arizona State University is having a IHS conference, and Sandy Whitehawk, the main subject of the film, is going to be out there on the 30th and the 1st, and our screening, I believe, is on the 30th of the conference around 1:30. So you can check our website and our social media to get info if you guys want to head over there from Tucson and check out the film. We would greatly appreciate that.
We'll put it up on Facebook, too.
Yeah.
Because we got people on Facebook Live watching us all over the country.
Cool.
And so, yeah.
To follow up on his point, though, I think that's where, and you mentioned the title earlier, too. We had gone back and forth on the title a lot. And when Sandy, it was initially just Sandy's story that we were going to film. And a lot of it started with, it all started with her having this idea of we should welcome adoptees home. And there should be a song. And this elder that you see in the film that guided her through that process and introduced her to Jerry Dearly, who wrote the song for adoptees, who's based here in St. Paul. That started with her saying we need to do something about this. So the initial idea was it started with a song was the title we were working with.
Hey, we're going to come back here. You're listening to Native Roots Radio Presents I'm Awake, and we're here with Drew Nicholas, director, producer of Blood Memory, the documentary. We'll be right back.
We are Alusa Nation.
Minnesota has the only original wolf population in the continental United States, and 80% of Minnesotans believe the wolf should be protected. Howling for Wolves is asking Minnesotans to respect our true wildlife manager, the wolf. Their survival is critical to our ecosystems, our communities, and even our economy. As highly intelligent animals with strong social bonds, Minnesota wolves deserve to be protected and admired. Learn more at howlingforwolves.org. Let's live and let howl.
When we heal from our traumas,
When we face our fears,
let go of our addictions,
when we relearn our values,
when we live our teachings,
respecting our elders,
cherishing and honoring our children,
when we honor and take care of our spirit,
there will be no room left for sexual violence.
Sponsored by the Minnesota Indian Women's Sexual Assault Coalition.
Minneapolis, hey. It's me, minus the face paint, from the Legion of Doom, Hall of Famer, Road Warrior Animal. Now, on May 11th, I'm coming back to the great state of Minnesota for the Women's of Nation wrestling event. That's right, me. Come take a picture, get an autograph, put on a spike shoulder pads. I will be there in face paint. in my garb. Come be there. Minneapolis, May 11th. Women's of Nation. Oh, what a rush.
Robbins Kaplan LLP protects and defends American Indian tribes because for too long they have faced a competitive disadvantage when litigating against powerful forces. With its American Indian law and policy practice, Robbins Kaplan LLP seeks to redefine excellence for high-stakes litigation representation in Indian country. Founded and led by former United States attorneys Brendan Johnson and Tim Podein, their American Indian law and policy practice exists to bring justice to tribal clients whose claims in the past have been dismissed or ignored due to their underdog status. Their American Indian law lawyers understand the challenges tribes face when state and local government infringe on tribal sovereignty and the federal government neglects its trust responsibilities. Their passion for tribal sovereignty and self-determination is the driving force behind their practice, fueling their tribal advice and advocacy, especially when tribes are forced to litigate against powerful interests. Robbins Kaplan LLP, representing American Indian tribes, tribal government boards and commissions, individual tribal members, and American Indian business and business concerns. For more information, visit robinskaplan.com.
Welcome back to Native Roots Radio Presents I'm Awake. I'm your host, Wakanjahare.
And this portion of the show is brought to you by J&S Bean Factory, Randolph Avenue in St. Paul, and J. Selby.
Ooh, we're going there afterwards, I think. Aren't we? Okay,
absolutely.
good. Hey,
Sure.
so this again, I've seen a couple documentaries in the last week or so, and kind of on the same thing. So it's really Peeny Gigi for bringing out this issue, and we want to talk a little bit where we left off. We're with Drew Nichols, who's the producer of Blood Memory and the director and the producer, and let's talk about the name again, because that struck me. I always want to find out how did they name? Oh, that's how.
So Sandy initially didn't like the idea of the title being Blood Memory, and we had to spend some time convincing her that was in the film. And the way that came, I'd never heard of that concept before. Mm-hmm. And during the 2013 explosion of media around Baby Veronica, there was a forum here at the University of Minnesota that I had come out to. And Essie, I'm blanking on her last name right now, but she was on a panel and she had mentioned that Veronica's blood memory would bring her home. Mm. And I was like, okay, what's that concept? I need to learn more about this. And so I asked Sandy about that in an interview, and she explains it in the interview, and that's the audio clip you hear at the end that kind of summarizes it. Mm-hmm. But then, as I was mentioning before the break, the title wasn't that. And then as the story evolved and as Mark's piece came in and a lot of that blood quantum piece became part of the narrative and the identity and how Indigenous identity is sort of, all these different pieces that everyone in the film is really grappling with, whether they've been connected to their community for 20 years and were adopted out or whatever their background is. And this idea of blood memory really unified all their narratives under one concept and really brought everything together and evolved the film thematically in a strong way. So.
I had a daughter when she went to her first powwow, I won't say which one, but she started crying.
When she heard the drums, yeah.
Sandy talks about that in the film.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm, exactly.
The drums are very powerful.
And when we mixed the film, music and sound, it was really important for us to make that drum feel when you're in the audience. We wanted those low ends to just vibrate your seat and vibrate your heart.
That drum is the heartbeat of the people.
Mm-hmm.
Drew, I'm interested in I have a question here. I mean, you're a white guy.
Yeah.
What interests you into bringing this documentary to light?
Yeah, so that's a fun story. So I was actually, 2010, I just got out of film school in Pittsburgh. I'm from Pennsylvania, and I spent the last 12 years in Pittsburgh. But 2010, I got out of film school. I'm sitting in a coffee shop talking about film. And there was an adoptee who had been removed here from Minnesota to Pennsylvania. And she was now in her middle age, but she's like, oh, I have a story for you. And we started chatting. And I said, well, what brings you to Pittsburgh? And she had mentioned that she had grown up there because of her adoption. And I was like, oh, okay, life-saving thing. She's like, no, it was like a horrible, assimilative experience. I got, she was very abused and had a lot of trauma around that. And so that sort of shifted my perspective on adoption first and foremost on this broader scale. But then as we started talking more, she mentioned Carlisle, the first federally funded boarding school, which is in central PA. And I had grown up camping in that town, going to car shows in that town, never heard of the school, never heard of this history as being anything to do with Pennsylvania. You grow up in the East, and most Eastern areas you're taught that it's ancient history. It's long gone. It's past. And not having a reservation in Pennsylvania since the 60s, not having any tribal nations recognized in the state, it's not something you think about other than some street names and some, you think about it, but it's so long ago is how you grow up. So that whole thing just started spiraling in my head after that conversation. And she had mentioned Sandy's name. So I called up Sandy and I said, I'm really this has really hooked me. I just want to see more about this, hear more about this. And she's like, oh, I'll talk to you if you come out to my powwow. But other than that, whatever, So I came out, and every year she has an annual powwow the first weekend, first Saturday of November here in the cities to welcome home those who've been removed. And so we came out. I came out, and I just talked to her and talked to some other folks. And she has her version of the story. But basically, her granddaughter had a tea party. And and I joined the Tea Party, and that's how Sandy trusted me, I guess.
Not the Republican Tea Party. I just wanted everyone to know on this progressive state.
Awesome story.
It is.
An awesome story.
Yeah.
She checked you out to make sure. Oh yeah, this guy does have a heart, and he is having fun with the kid.
And he's doing the documentary for the right reasons.
Right. Yeah. She tested me throughout, and we didn't really butt heads. We were always, I think, pretty much on the same page with stuff, but there were definitely times where just we had to realize the perspective, and a lot of it became about just stopping and listening and really not coming in with this is the narrative, this is the story we want to tell, right?
Yeah, I was talking to one of your producers, and I'm a video person and film person too. And so what always struck me right away was the music and behind the music. And you mentioned about how you mix the drums, but also there's some more to that. Explain. She was really excited to tell me.
Yeah. So our composer William Stankay, he does. I met him at a just a meet and greet thing in Pittsburgh. And he's like, oh, I do this stuff called earth tones. And he travels all over the globe. He's filmed glaciers breaking. He films, records, audio records, glaciers breaking, water, elk vocalizations, a lot of elk vocalizations, all kinds of animal sounds, everything. And so we brought him out to South Dakota and did a bunch of on-location recording, and that became his instrumental bass. So he has waterproof microphones. He recorded the bottom of Ghost Hawk Lake, which is there in right outside of Rosebud, and so we have all these just earth-based vocalizations of different sorts. And so as when we first started talking to him, we were like, okay, I think this is perfect. And then when we brought him out with us, this was our third trip out for the fair, when the elders started hearing his process and started approving of his process, and they were like, you get it. And they talked about how the Lakota, came out from underground, and he was hearing that in that's what his concepts were. He's like, I think I want this thing to come out from underground, and it bursts out of the ground, and it just lines up. And so instead of using string instrumentation and stuff, we use those elk vocals, we use eagles vocalizations, and it really creates this really interesting earth melody.
Hey, we're here with Drew Nicholas, Blood Memory, producer-director. The last 40 seconds here, let's say what's next for Blood Memory.
Sure. Yeah, so we are screening around. We've got a little bit of a hiatus for the next week or so. Well, we do have a screening in Missoula this Friday. But if you want to screen the film, you just go to bloodmemorydoc.com, bloodmemorydoc.com, and you can shoot us a message or just find us on social media and ask us. We have a screening at Rapid City for the Black Hills Film Festival on May 3rd. And then we'll be in Canada soon at the end of May, beginning of June.
Wow, this has been a really informative, great show. Really peeny-geeky for what you've done. You're listening to Native Roots Radio Presents I'm Awake, and we'll be right back. Robbins Kaplan LLP protects and defends American Indian tribes because for too long they have faced a competitive disadvantage when litigating against powerful forces. With its American Indian law and policy practice, Robbins Kaplan LLP seeks to redefine excellence for high-stakes litigation representation in Indian country. Founded and led by former United States attorneys Brendan Johnson and Tim Purdon, their American Indian law and policy practice exists to bring justice to tribal clients whose claims in the past have been dismissed or ignored due to their underdog status. Their American Indian law lawyers understand the challenges tribes face when state and local government infringe on tribal sovereignty and the federal government neglects its trust responsibilities. Their passion for tribal sovereignty and self-determination is the driving force behind their practice, fueling their tribal advice and advocacy, especially when tribes are forced to litigate against powerful interests. Robbins Kaplan LLP, representing American Indian tribes, tribal government boards and commissions, individual tribal members, and American Indian business and business concerns. For more information, visit robinskaplan.com.
This is AM 950, KTNF, St. Louis Park, Minneapolis, St. Paul, the progressive voice of Minnesota.
Korea talks, severe weather. I'm Ann Cates. President Trump and North Korean leader Kim Jong-un may hold a third summit. Correspondent Paula Hancock reports Pyongyang is calling on the U.S. to take a new approach.
He also had some fond words for the U.S. president. We're really seeing on both sides that the leaders are reticent to criticize each other. They will criticize those around each other, but they are both highlighting that their friendship remains strong. Kim Jong-un quoted as saying that the relationship between the two leaders is far stronger than the relationship between the two countries, or at least far less hostile.
Tornadoes have touched down in parts of Texas, with the South in the path of severe storms packing strong winds and large hail. Meteorologist Bob Oravec.
It's a pretty large area of severe weather or heavy rain, severe thunderstorms that are occurring currently across parts of the southern plains, mostly across Texas into parts of Louisiana, southern Arkansas, and Mississippi. And it looks like it's going to be pretty active going through the remainder of the afternoon as this area of low pressure develops across the southern plains and moves east-northeastward. And it's going to be supporting the potential for some heavy rain and also for severe weather across those regions.
The National Weather Service has issued a high-level warning about the severity of the storms today. California Governor Gavin Newsom wants answers for dealing with devastating wildfires.
Newsom says if the state continues to suffer the kinds of wildfires, such as the recent Camp Fire that killed 85 and destroyed nearly an entire city, wildfire costs could cause utility rates to increase 50% or more and yet be less reliable, and that could ripple through the entire state's economy. 25% of the population, he says, is at risk.
That's a jaw-dropping percentage.
He had harsh words for utilities, too, saying their liability should increase as well as penalties for failing to invest in safety measures, and profits should be tied to safety performance. He wants answers in 90 days. Jim Roop, Los Angeles.
I'm Ann Cates.
And not to mention the shedding, I would vacuum the carpet 3 times a week. Frodo was scratching all night long, bouncing on the side of the bed, keeping me awake the whole entire night from all the scratching and chewing. It kind of makes you neurotic.
Does your dog itch, scratch, stink, or shed like crazy?
Mounds and mounds of fur all over the place.
Come to Dinovite for help.
DINOVITE.com. If you want the dog to be healthy, you got to feed it something healthy.
Dinovite is nutrition.
The omega-3 fatty acids.
Flaxseed, zinc, alfalfa.
Our vitamins and enzymes replace the nutrients cooked out of most commercial dog foods.
He gobbles it up. He's not up all night scratching. His shedding is minimal, and it is such a pleasure to have my calm, relaxed, non-shedding puppy back. And I have to thank Dinovite for that.
Don't let your dog itch, scratch, stink, or shed like crazy.
Come to Dinovite for help.
859-428-1000.
859-428-1000.
DINOVITE.com.
Tom Hartman here telling you that solar energy isn't just for environmentalists. Switching to all-energy solar is actually perfect for reducing your carbon footprint while also saving money on your monthly electric bill. The fact that solar panels cause no earth-harming emissions while it's producing energy is a bonus. Who in the world could object to that? but they can also help you save money month after month for decades. And they do it with a clean footprint. So go green and start saving money today by visiting allenergysolar.com.
Art lovers, it's time to celebrate, learn about, and collect local art at the St. Paul Art Crawl, running April 26th to 28th. The Spring St. Paul Art Crawl, presented by the St. Paul Art Collective, is a must-do experience that you will love. Over the weekend, you will have the chance to explore a wide variety of art while touring through local artist studios, lofts, and galleries. Up for purchase will be paintings, photography, pottery, sculpture, fiber arts, and more. The Art Crawl sprawls over 34 locations. Join the Art Crawl and discover outstanding art for your own. And when you buy local art, you're providing to artists so that they may continue to create the art we love. The Metro Transit is supporting the local art community too, with free transit passes. Download your pass to ride buses and light rail for free during the Art Crawl. Be sure to get details at stpaulartcrawl.org. That's stpaulartcrawl.org.
Robbins Kaplan LLP protects and defends American Indian tribes because for too long they have faced a competitive disadvantage when litigating against powerful forces. With its American Indian law and policy practice, Robbins Kaplan LLP seeks to redefine excellence for high-stakes litigation representation in Indian country. Founded and led by former United States attorneys Brendan Johnson and Tim Purdon, their American Indian law and policy practice exists to bring justice to tribal clients whose claims in the past have been dismissed or ignored due to their underdog status. Their American Indian law lawyers understand the challenges tribes face when state and local government infringe on tribal sovereignty and the federal government neglects its trust responsibilities. Their passion for tribal sovereignty and self-determination is the driving force behind their practice, fueling their tribal advice and advocacy, especially when tribes are forced to litigate against powerful interests. Robbins Kaplan LLP, representing American Indian tribes, tribal government boards and commissions, individual tribal members, and American Indian business and business concerns. For more information, visit robinskaplan.com.
With your AM 950 weather, this is Eric Nelson. Today you can expect scattered sprinkles with a high near 39 and a low around 25. Sunday, patchy fog before 9 a.m. and then clearing up to mostly sunny skies. High 48 and a low around 29. Monday will be rainy with a high of 52 and a low around 30.
Whatever April showers bring this year, Standard Heating and Air Conditioning has you covered. Their triple savings sale offers $2,300 in savings on a new furnace and AC. Learn more about this great deal at standardheatingdeals.com. Standard Heating and AC, comfort you deserve.
It's a good day to be indigenous.
Get up, stand up.
They are going to become more brutal.
Couldn't cut, hitting cut again.
Because all the hippies were trying to be Indians anyway. They're going to become more repressive because it's a matter of dollars and their illusionary concepts of power.
Hey, Victor.
We must live in balance with the earth.
And also with recent happenings at Wounded Knee.
I am awake.
Hey, Cudahy to all my friends and relatives in four directions. You're listening to Hour 2 of Native Roots Radio Presents I'm Awake, and I'm your host, Wakanja Hade. Hey, say, I want to just get going right here. I want to introduce my wife, Wendy Pilot. She's my beautiful wife.
Of course she is.
Thank you, Choka. Wendy has been an animal advocate for many years, and she is a volunteer Minnesota State Council member for the Humane Society of the United States. And she works on animal issues at the state level. Tell us your name and welcome, Wendy.
Yeah, thank you. My name is Hanaji Hihani, and that means cares for them. And I was given that beautiful name by my Dega here, Curtis. So thank you every week for that name.
Hey, you're very welcome. And this portion of the show is brought to you by Neighborhood Cafe, good food and good friends, and also by Howling for Wolves, protecting wolves for future generations.
We even had Eric, our engineer, there across the glass howling. I heard it from in here.
Thank you, Eric. This time. He grabbed that microphone hard, too.
It's awesome. So this week I have a couple of updates, things that I've talked about on the show before, and I'm just bringing updates. So I always like to bring good updates. So first, I'm reading from Kitty Block's blog. And just a reminder, Kitty Block is the president and chief executive officer of the Humane Society of the United States and also president of the Humane Society International. Her blog is dated April 9th, 2019, and we have a great update that the beagles who were undergoing pesticide testing at a Michigan lab have been released to the care of the Michigan Humane Society, where they will be prepared for adoption.
Hey, Wendy, can you tell us how the beagles in the lab were discovered?
Well, first of all, HSUS were kind of tipped off that these beagles, there were 36 of them in this lab, and HSUS, which is short for the Humane Society of the United States, sent in an undercover investigator. And this was at the Charles River Laboratories in Michigan last month, revealed that the beagles were undergoing testing for a Brazil-bound pesticide developed by Dow AgroSciences, and they are now called Corteva AgroSciences. And as soon as HSUS learned of this, their Humane Society International team reached out to Brazil to get a waiver for this test. Once Dow had announced an end to the test, HSUS tapped into their vast network of 350 animal shelter partners to find a suitable organization to take the beagles in and prepare them for loving homes.
You know, where are the dogs now, and how will they be helped, Wendy?
You know, the dogs right now are out of the lab, and I'm happy to say they're at the Michigan Humane Society because they stepped up and agreed to take the dogs. Now the dogs have a new, exciting journey in their lives. But since the dogs have been raised for use in the laboratory and aren't used to walking on leashes or going outside, Michigan Humane Society's expert behaviorists will carry out a full behavioral assessment of each dog as well as an independent veterinary assessment. The shelter will use these assessments to determine next steps for the dogs, including possible placement of the dogs in their foster networks. The Humane Society of the United States will provide a grant to help assist with the care of the dogs prior to their adoption. The HSUS is grateful for Corteva, also known as Dow, for its decision to end the test and to release the dogs. The Humane Society of the United States, wants everyone to know none of this could have happened had you not signed the petition, made phone calls to Corteva, and spread the word about these beagles. And I just want to remind everyone there were over 350,000 people who signed the online HSUS petition. So anyone out there who signed it, thank you so much. And just a reminder, right now in the United States, there are over 60,000 dogs in laboratories. And you could help. Yep, you could help by purchasing products not tested on animals.
Hey, what's the next update, Wen?
Oh, okay. So I have the second update I have is, let's see, I'm reading from kymnradio.net. And this was dated April 12th, 2019, and it's a woman who was operating an animal rescue in Castle Rock, Minnesota, pleaded guilty and was sentenced on April 12th in Dakota County Court. A felony count of cruelty to animals was lowered to a gross misdemeanor. In addition, she pleaded guilty to 12 misdemeanor counts of mistreatment. 26-year-old Kaylee Lynn Bregel of St. Paul was the owner and operator of an animal rescue called Minnesota Animal Rescue, a nonprofit who had been renting a residence in Castle Rock Township. And on May 9th, 2018, a deputy was dispatched to the home on the 2800 block of 250 Street West in Farmington. On arrival, the deputy smelled an overpowering odor coming from inside the house. The owner of the property was contacted. He went inside and found several animals, including several cats that were skin and bones. There was no food or water for the animals. Brengel had rented the property since February 2017. Inside there were 43 living cats, 64 dead cats, 5 living dogs, 1 pig, a hamster, and a rabbit. The floors, the walls, and the windows were covered in garbage, urine, and animal feces. Several shallow graves and carcasses of dead cats were scattered across the backyard and in the garage. The property was condemned by the Dakota County Public Health Department. Brengel was sentenced to 90 days of electronic home monitoring to begin June 2019. She also gets 2 years probation and also 200 hours of community service and is not allowed to own, possess, or care for any animals. She must also comply with mental health directives.
Hey, why and were the authorities notified to investigate this home, Wendy?
Well, the Animal Humane Society was initially tipped off to the case after someone called to report a loose pig in the area. So it was just like a regular citizen who just saw a pig and just thought that that was unusual. So they called the authorities, and that's how the whole thing got started. And a neighbor said she noticed just a mess around the house, things laying around, just really messy and dirty. So they called the police. Undercover investigations are the most powerful tool we have to expose the cruel and abusive treatment of animals inside secretive world of laboratories, industrial animal agriculture, circuses, pet stores, and really anywhere where animals are kept.
What can people do, Wen?
Animals can't speak up for themselves, so we must do it for them. Like the woman who called the authorities about seeing a pig roaming around. You know what? A lot of people would have saw the pig, and even though they thought it was unusual and weird, they would have just turned their head and gone on their merry way. But this woman called the authorities, and that's how it got the ball rolling. Whenever, everyday people can do is report anything unusual or anything that doesn't just feel right to them. And I have this quote here by Martin Luther King that I love. And here is the quote. It says, "Never be afraid to do what is right, especially if the well-being of a person or an animal is at stake. Society's punishments are small compared to the wounds we inflict on our souls when we look the other way."
Beautiful.
And that's
Wow.
really, I love that quote. I say it over and over again, and I wanted to share it with our audience because we need everyone to watch out for animals. Again, they don't have a voice of their own, and we need people to, if you see a dog outside chained to a pole and it's raining and it's cold, call up, find out what's going on with this animal. Maybe we could get this dog into a better home. And anything unusual that you see, we need people to speak up.
Wendy, I want to thank you again for bringing the forefront of our sacred animals. What we do to animals is we do to our people and our sacred animals. We have a quick phone call here we want to pick up if you don't mind.
Oh, sure, absolutely.
Libby,
Let's do
Libby
it.
wants to talk about something. Libby, I know you're a big fan. Welcome to Native Roots Radio presents I'm Awake.
Pina Gigi.
Ahoo.
Thank you. Of course, I'm running my Saturday errands, and I'm also a member of the Ho-Chunk Nation living in the Twin Cities.
Ahoo.
But about 9 years ago, I was on the tribal legislature with some very strong, determined people in Wisconsin, members of our tribe. A team led by Ona Garbutt and Roberta DeCora and several people from the Social Service Department worked diligently with the state of Wisconsin, and the Indian Child Welfare Act has now been codified into the state law in Wisconsin.
Mm-hmm.
That was a big deal, a huge deal.
Mm-hmm.
It would be really helpful if other states did the same.
That's right.
I think others involved would have been Jean Ann Day, who's now no longer with us, Valerie Blackdeer from our Social Service Department. I believe Liz Holler was involved, and also Stephanie Lozano, all from our own tribal Social Service Department. So I'm very proud of our tribe for moving forward and doing that in Wisconsin. That's about all I have to say.
Wow, thank you so much for bringing that up. Peeny Gigi, Libby, for all you do for Ho-Chunk Nation and the people out there in Indian land. And Wendy, again, Peeny Gigi, for all you do for our sacred animals. We're going to have Stephen Lewis Simpson, director of Neither Wolf Nor Dog, the movie, up next. You're listening to Native Roots Radio presents I'm Awake.
Wajile, Minnesota has the only original wolf population in the continental United States, and 80% of Minnesotans believe the wolf should be protected. Howling for Wolves is asking Minnesotans to respect our true wildlife manager, the wolf. Their survival is critical to our ecosystems, our communities, and even our economy. As highly intelligent animals with strong social bonds, Minnesota wolves deserve to be protected and admired. Learn more at howlingforwolves.org. Let's live and let howl.
The Neighborhood Cafe is a locally owned and operated business and proud sponsor of I'm Awake. Enjoy a great happy hour Tuesday through Saturday from 3 to 6 p.m. with specials on food and drinks. The Neighborhood Cafe serves breakfast, lunch, and dinner, all made from scratch daily. Located next to O'Gara's in St. Paul off Snelling and Selby, stop in and try one of their specialty sandwiches or delicious burgers paired with a local craft beer. More at theneighborhoodcafe.com.
J&S Bean Factory is a native-owned, community-supported, cozy, artsy coffee shop which offers roasted on-site beans, live music, and baked goods. Relax in the beautiful outside patio. City Pages writes, voted top 10 coffee shops. Tucked into a quiet corner of St. Paul's Highland Park neighborhood, this coffee shop roasts beans on-site from the best coffee-growing countries in the world. Located at 1518 Randolph Avenue, St. Paul. The good stuff.
Native-owned Meg Mechanical is your local heating, ventilation, and air conditioning professional. Meg has the experience needed to diagnose and repair your heating and air conditioning systems. Whether repair or complete mechanical design, we do it all. No job is too big or too small. Meg Mechanical has completed projects as large as U.S. Bank Stadium and will provide the same great service in your home. Visit magmechanical.com or call 612-655-5339. Please remember Mag Mechanical when you have HVAC needs. Mention this ad to receive 1 hour of free service.
The Downtowner Woodfire Grill in St. Paul is the perfect choice for breakfast, lunch, and dinner 7 days a week. Offering daily fresh seafood specials, fire-roasted meats, exquisite pizza, and half-price bottles of wine on Mondays and Tuesdays, except on Excel Energy event nights. Once you experience their cozy fireside dining, extensive wine list, and bar, you'll be back for more. Gift certificates and private dining room for parties available. Located at 253 West 7th Street with plenty of free parking or online at downtownerwoodfire.com.
When we go out to browse for books and grab something to eat, Moon Palace Books is where we go.
This unique bookstore is located at 3032 Minnehaha Avenue in Minneapolis, just minutes from St. Paul.
A great place to find one-of-a-kind books, cards, and great gifts.
Geek Glove Cafe at Moon Palace Books has cold-pressed coffee, pizza, salads.
Local, organic, fair trade, vegan, carnivore options.
Beer and wine.
Community performance room.
Great parking.
What are we waiting for? Let's go
to Moon Palace Books, 3032 Minnehaha Avenue, Minneapolis.
No Indian alive dares to think too much for the past. The bones of my people are crying. Our people never had a chance. The soldiers attack us in our homes. They kill our little boys, little bitty girls, and rode away laughing. That's what gets me.
Welcome back to Native Roots Radio presents I'm Awake, and I'm your host, Robert Pilot. That's a short little clip from Stephen Lewis Simpson's film Neither Wolf Nor Dog, and we have Stephen Lewis Simpson on the phone right now. Welcome, Peeny Gigi, for being on Native Roots Radio presents I'm Awake.
Hi, Robert. How are you doing? It's been a while.
Yeah, it has. We were trying to figure out. We had you on like 2 or 3 times, but I think that was our first year of the show, so it's great to have you back on. I want to also thank you over to the air here with all our people listening to you that you sent me that copy when I hurt my knee of the film, and it really helped me get through those 10 weeks of not being able to bend my knee.
Oh, that's very sweet of you. I appreciate that. No, I mean, you've been there for the film the whole way through as well, and I have to tell you that that's been important to me, too, so I thank you for that.
Great. So
it's interesting, you played that clip at the beginning, and I've obviously heard it a million times, and just it gets me every time. Mm-hmm. Dave puts everything into this movie, and you hear it in that clip.
Yeah. That's the clip I wanted to make sure we played first. So let's quickly remind our listeners what the movie is and what it's about, and then we'll go into where it's playing.
Well, it's a road movie based on the novel Neither Wolf Nor Dog by Kent Nerburn, who is from your part of the world. And it's basically this author, it's kind of based on some of his own experiences, and this author gets sucked into a road trip by this Lakota elder and his best friend to, really open the author's eyes to, the reality of the elder's worldview. And the elders played spectacularly by Dave Baldeagle, who was 95 years old when he played it. And this last Monday would have been his 100th birthday if he had still been with us. So we had a lot of commemoration showings in a lot of parts of the country where the film had been particularly popular, and it was back on his home reservation in the cinema there for the whole week, which is really fantastic.
Now, this movie's been out since 2016? Or
well,
17?
it premiered. Its festival premiere was 2016 in Europe, and then it entered cinemas 2017. But it's ridiculous. I mean, I've been doing this every moment pretty much since those times I was on air with you. I mean, it's astonishing, really. It's the middle of the longest first-run theatrical release of any movie in the United States in over a decade. If you were to look at sort of what film is sort of second longest in cinemas, it's a film called The Wife with Glenn Close, which came out probably about September. And for me, you're going back to January 2017. It's incredible. And we just done something this last week, which I've literally never heard of a film achieving, which is, the Marcus Theatre chain, which is a big one, and you've got quite a few in your area, has brought the film into 6 of its theaters, and 3 of them we played in 2 years ago. I mean, Outriver, we played 4 weeks. Hermantown, we played 3 weeks. Wow. And in my life, I've never heard of a cinema chain bringing a film back in after such a long time for another full run. I mean, they might have bring in an anniversary showing of Titanic or something, but it's kind of done something really kind of unique, but only in certain parts of the country. I mean, it's been in more theaters. If you go, Minnesota, South Dakota, Wyoming, Montana, Oregon, and Washington, it's been in more theaters than pretty much all but the really major releases. But there's huge parts of the country it just hasn't played at all. I mean, it's sort of very much a local phenomenon.
And I know we when we saw it up here, this theater was sold out. And you had a good run at, I think it was the Parkway, and they were like just happy as heck because it was full, almost sold out the whole week, and they had never seen anything. The Lagoon. I'm sorry.
It was the Lagoon, and it was crazy. I mean, the manager or deputy manager kept messaging me on Facebook because she hadn't seen anything like it. She was saying, you're the first film to sell out some opening shows since the last Star Wars movie. And I'm, this is a film I made with a crew of 2. And that first week at the Lagoon, we had more admissions than the film with the highest screen average in the entire United States that week. And it was showing in a theater, only one of their theaters in New York. And it beat our box office because, New York ticket prices are insane. But we had more admissions. And that was, all through, our kind of grassroots marketing and word of mouth and great support from the likes of yourself. And we'd already played for 4 weeks in Outriver before that. We were the pick of the week in the Star Tribune for Outriver. I don't know if anything in Outriver has ever been the pick of the week in the Star Tribune.
That's funny.
It's done a lot of odd things. And whatever played Outriver before Minneapolis. So it's been, but it's been an insane amount of work. First thing I do in the morning is messaging, last thing at night, and but the thing that gives it life is sharing Dave Baldeagle's performance with everyone.
Right. Plus, the book was an award-winning book. What year was that? It was a great book too, and
6 or 5, I think it won the award, Minnesota Book Award.
And then you had to change kind of the book in order to have older Dave Baldeagle play that part. Wasn't that how that went?
Yeah, too? I mean, one of the central things is you have to kind of structure it in a more defined way. A novel can kind of go up any alleyway at once at any point, whereas a movie is a moving thing. The key thing that we changed, which was crucial, was the climax at Wounded Knee, because in the novel and also in the screenplay, it sort of revolved more around certain things that were going on in Nurburn's head, the author's head. And this had to be the elders scene.
Right.
Absolutely. And so, I just literally, and the whole way through shooting, I knew that I had to do something about it. I just didn't know what it was going to be. And it was the last scene we filmed with Dave and Chris Sweeney, who played the author. And even though the scene takes place at Wounded Knee, that actual dialogue we filmed in a very private place away from there, because it was too important to have people around. And Dave improvised the whole sequence. He was Mini Koju from Cheyenne River. I mean, it was, he was of the people who fled down to Pine Ridge Agency and were massacred at Wounded Knee. And that was closer than even the character he was playing.
Wow.
And so he went so deep inside of himself. And, the clip you played, we filmed a couple of weeks before that. And when I was filming that scene, I thought, I'm never in my life going to film a more powerful scene in my whole career. And I was wrong, because the scene at Wounded Knee trumped it. And at the end of filming it, he turned to Christopher Sweeney and he said, I've been holding that in for 95 years.
Oh. Wow. Whoa, I'm speechless.
And that's the thing. It's in that scene, we snap away from being a movie. And we actually snap through even being like a documentary. I mean, you're literally standing there on this hill, close. The camera's close. Frames it closer than I was, and you are seeing this man pouring his heart out, and he puts his spirit on screen. And people, there's a lot of work put into making a movie, but the single most important thing in making this film what it was trust. We all trusted each other. Dave trusted me. He trusted Chris. He trusted Richard, and he was happy to go there. And without that, the film would be nothing, I think.
Wow. I'm reliving this. I got to watch it again. And it's playing this week. Do you want to give a quick shout out where it's playing?
Yeah, I mean, we're opening for the first time down in Shakopee at the Shakopee Cinema. It opened yesterday. It'll be there for at least a week, probably two. Also in Elk River and Hermantown. Also in Fargo and Omaha and Appleton, all at the Marcus Theaters. So, some of you listening might have friends in some of these areas. Please tell them, because this is, it's not just, their chance to see something special. It's, we want stories like this to be told. And, cinemas have been very supportive, really, for this film, but it is always a case of getting the audiences in. And the more satisfied they are with this, the easier it gets for other Native stories to get into cinemas. And to be honest, a lot of people go, why don't we see Native films in cinemas? Well, the truth is, you don't see most low-budget films in cinemas, full stop.
Right.
And any kind of real drama, which a lot of the great films from, people like Sterling Harjo, his film Miko, for example, it's a gritty, real drama. And so you have to really fight and work incredibly hard to get those on screen. And the more successful they become, the easier it will get. And so, the whole nature of supporting these films is you're supporting the next one almost by default, by opening the theater owners' eyes.
I agree.
Because they're actually more open. They're actually more open than one imagines. I never get kind of anything about Native audience or being a Native film, or even, it not having any stars or things like that. They really do just look at it and go, oh, you did really well at this theater down the road. Okay, we'll take it.
Well,
it's important to support all these things.
I want to thank you for being on the show and the great work you've done on this movie. And keep in touch, please. This has been Stephen Lewis Simpson, director, producer of Neither Wolf Nor Dog, the movie, and that's showing. Keep an eye out and go join the Facebook page, and it's showing here in the Twin City area this weekend. We'll be right back after this message.
J. Selby's, an airy plant-based cafe serving up American classics, nestled in the heart of St. Paul in the historic Cathedral Hill neighborhood at 169 Victoria Street. J. Selby's serves great plant-based food and only plant-based foods where customer service is a priority, great food a tradition, and a comfortable, cool space for like-minded people to gather and enjoy a sustainable, environmentally friendly, and compassionate meal. As the Star Tribune writes, J. Selby's is an innovative vegan restaurant that does a spot-on Big Mac. It's a good day for good food.
Unwanted sexting or photos, inappropriate jokes, even tickling or wrestling can feel like a violation. Catcalling, cornering, or groping, getting them drunk or high for sex, recording sexual acts without permission, hurting someone because of their sexual orientation, raping a family member, a child, a date, a friend, a stranger, purchasing a human being for sex. You make the choice every single time. Sexual violence is many things. Make a choice. Do not do it.
Sponsored by the Minnesota Indian Women's Sexual Assault Coalition.
MN350 is a grassroots, volunteer-driven organization fighting for climate justice and a swift transition away from a fossil fuel-based economy. To get involved, visit mn350.org or find us on Facebook at MN350. Building a climate movement in Minnesota.
J&S Bean Factory is a native-owned, community-supported, cozy, artsy coffee shop which offers roasted on-site beans, live music, and baked goods. Relax in the beautiful outside patio. City Pages writes, voted top 10 coffee shops. Tucked into a quiet corner of St. Paul's Highland Park neighborhood, this coffee shop roasts beans on-site from the best coffee-growing countries in the world. Located at 1518 Randolph Avenue, St. Paul. The good stuff.
Ho-Chunk Gaming Wisconsin, wherever you are and however you like it. We're just the place you're looking for. 6 unique, fun, exciting, winning destinations located throughout central Wisconsin. Make your rounds to Wittenberg, Nakusa, Black River Falls, Toma, Madison, or Wisconsin Dells for the hottest slots, most exciting games, award-winning guest service, delicious food and spirits, lodging, and live entertainment. Join the Ho-Chunk Gaming Rewards Club for free. And with a single card, you can earn valuable points no matter which of the 6 locations you choose to play. That means more exclusive offers, giveaways, cash back, discounts, and much more. Visit us online to see all we have to offer and find the fun times nearest you at HoChunkGaming.com. So wherever you are and however you like it, we're just the place you're looking for. Ho-Chunk Gaming Wisconsin, Wittenberg, Nakusa, Black River Falls, Toma, Madison, and Wisconsin Dells.
Experience the difference. Ho-Chunk Gaming Wisconsin.
Must be 21 or over to play.
With your AM 950 weather, this is Eric Nelson. Today you can expect scattered sprinkles with a high near 39 and a low around 25. Sunday, patchy fog before 9 a.m. and then clearing up to mostly sunny skies. High 48 and a low around 29. Monday will be rainy with a high of 52 and a low around 30. Eat Local Minnesota.com's restaurant of the week is Milda's Cafe. This unique local restaurant offers one-of-a-kind hot dish specials every day and authentic finished pasties on Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. Located at 1720 Glenwood Avenue in Minneapolis, just east of Penn.
Welcome back to Native Roots Radio presents I'm Awake.
This portion of the show is brought to you by Mag Mechanical and the Minnesota Indian Women's Sexual Assault Coalition. It's a mouthful. I always have problems saying that.
That's okay. We're not perfect, as I was telling you during the break, that I'm not perfect. But hey, let's listen to Mary Kunesh Podein in her weekly update. This is called Mary Kunesh Podein Part 2.
Hi there, everyone. This is Representative Mary Kunesh Podein. I represent District 41B at the state legislature. I thought I'd start and let you know that the legislature will be in recess next week. And I'm going to take that opportunity to visit Puerto Rico with my daughter to see firsthand just how resilient the Puerto Rican American citizens are as they rebuild their families, their communities, and then, of course, their economy after Hurricane Maria decimated that island in 2017. I'm especially excited to see how the rainforest on the island is becoming rejuvenated. I've heard lots of great things about that. But when we come back on the 23rd of April, there'll be just about 4 weeks left of this legislative session, and there's much work to do as we finish up session 2019. So all the bills are in that that have been presented, that folks have asked us to carry, that we've come up with, and we need to come back and get down to the nitty-gritty bit of legislation. So all of our bills have been introduced. They've gone through the specific committees, whether it's a policy bill or a finance bill, such as the ones that I'm in. We heard education policy bills, and then oftentimes heard those in education finance committee also if there was a need for money. I also sit on the Health and Human Services Finance, and so we have put together a pretty incredible bill. It's actually 990 pages long, and everybody just shudders with horror when we think of omnibus bills, but this bill has so much good policy and so many great ways to finance the health services in Minnesota that I actually am especially proud of the size of it. So we can't hear any new bills unless they are added to an amendment when they are heard on the floor. And most of them have been heard in the House or the Senate. And then what's going to happen next is that all of them are going to now be put into an omnibus finance bill. And those will be hopefully created, they will be created by a single subject. So such as education, transportation, health and human services, taxes, all of those are in one big comprehensive bill. And then what will happen next is the House and the Senate will move those, we'll hear those omnibus bills on the floor and then move them off of the floor. And I want to remind you that you can always watch these hearings and these floor sessions live, or they always archive them. And so I'm going to send Robert the link to that page. So if you want to tune in and listen to what's going on in the discussion between the Republicans and the Democrats on the House floor, the Senate floor, you can do that. So the conference, after we hear these bills on the floor, the omnibus bills on the floor, they are going to then move to a conference committee. And a conference committee consists of 5 House members and 5 Senate members. And we'll get together and go through the bills and find the similarities, the commonness, and the difference bills that have been put forward. And the other thing that has to happen is that we have to look really carefully at the tax bill to see how much money is available to spend on these different plans and finances that both parties are suggesting. And then what happens is that there is created one other thing is that there's a lot of good provisions, but the one problem is that the Senate didn't hear as many bills as the House did. So when we go to conference, the companion bill, because there has to be one bill in the House, one in the Senate, those are companion bills. If there is not one heard in the Senate, but heard in the House, then basically that House bill is considered dead. They have to match them up, and they have to tweak them in the conference committee. But if it didn't move in the Senate, and they're, as I said, considered dead, then they might get rolled into another omnibus bill. And the House has lots of policy to conference in our committees, but unfortunately the Senate does not. So eventually, through this conferencing and looking at the bills from the House and matching them up with the bills from the Senate, they create a page or a document called a side-by-side. And that requires that both the provisions of the House and the Senate match. And there's a lot that's not going to match because the House heard many, many more bills than the Senate did. And then the House will have to, the House members will have to advocate and try to convince the Senate that the bill is really important. But unfortunately, since the senators won't have heard about these bills or heard the provisions, they won't know anything about them, and so there'll be a lot of negotiating going back and forth. So that's what we will do when we come back after the 23rd. A couple things that happened this week, distracted driving. We talked about that on the House, and I can tell you that I voted for that because we want to make sure that our roads are safer, and that means requiring Minnesotans to put their phones down, focus on the road, and the governor actually signed that into law, so that's a good thing. Don't forget that your taxes are due on Monday. There's lots of resources out there, and it might be a little late, but there are free tax preparation resources available. And again, I'll try to remember to send that to Robert because nearly 65% of Minnesotans are actually eligible for free filing. And I'll send that to Robert so that you can take a look at that. So that was my week. It was a snowy week, but it was an exciting week once again. I'll be on recess next week, but maybe I'll be able to get a little report in about Puerto Rico. So in the meantime, everybody, take care. Wopala Tonka.
Hey,
Have a great week.
Oh, thank you so much. Mary Kunesh Podein. Just great to have her on every week. And what were you going to say earlier, Choka? That safe travels, eh?
Yeah, safe travel for you and your family going to Puerto Rico, safe there and come back. The skies are open.
And Wendy, you have great feelings towards Mary also, right?
Mary's awesome. I mentioned this last week that on our Humane Lobby Day at the state capitol, HSUS, she came and was one of the speakers and spoke with us. She's a great supporter of animal and humane legislation here in Minnesota, so we're really happy to have her on our side. So, as always, thanks, Mary.
Thank you, Mary.
You're listening to Native Roots Radio presents I'm Awake. I'm your host, Robert Pilot, and we're about to come to our favorite part of the show. What does my elder think? You're listening to Native Roots Radio.
Minnesota has the only original wolf population in the continental United States, and 80% of Minnesotans believe the wolf should be protected. Howling for Wolves is asking Minnesotans to respect our true wildlife manager, the wolf. Their survival is critical to our ecosystems, our communities, and even our economy. As highly intelligent animals with strong social bonds, Minnesota wolves deserve to be protected and admired. Learn more at howlingforwolves.org. Let's live and let howl.
If the statistics say that 1 in 3 Native women and 1 in 6 Native men have experienced sexual assault in their lifetime, it means our whole community is affected by sexual violence. 1 is too many. Don't stand by, stand up. Don't engage in acts of sexual violence, and shut down the dirty jokes, the gossip, the victim blaming and shaming. As a community, we can change the way we respond. Contact the Minnesota Indian Women's Sexual Assault Coalition to attend a workshop to learn more. Sponsored by the Minnesota Indian Women's Sexual Assault Coalition.
Minneapolis, hey, it's me, minus the face paint, from the Legion of Doom, Hall of Famer, road-worn animal. Now, on May 11th, I'm coming back to the great state of Minnesota for the Women's of Nation wrestling event. That's right, me. Come take a picture, get an autograph, put on a spike shoulder pads. I will be there in face paint, in my garb. Come be there, Minneapolis, May 11th. Women's of Nation. Oh, what a rush.
Robbins Kaplan LLP protects and defends American Indian tribes because for too long they have faced a competitive disadvantage when litigating against powerful forces. With its American Indian law and policy practice, Robbins Kaplan LLP seeks to redefine excellence for high-stakes litigation representation in Indian country. Founded and led by former United States attorneys Brendan Johnson and Tim Purdon, their American Indian law and policy practice exists to bring justice to tribal clients whose claims in the past have been dismissed or ignored due to their underdog status. Their American Indian law lawyers understand the challenges tribes face when state and local government infringe on tribal sovereignty and the federal government neglects its trust responsibilities. Their passion for tribal sovereignty and self-determination is the driving force behind their practice, fueling their tribal advice and advocacy, especially when tribes are forced to litigate against powerful interests. Robbins Kaplan LLP, representing American Indian tribes, tribal government boards and commissions, individual tribal members, and American Indian business and business concerns. For more information, visit robinskaplan.com.
Welcome back to Native Roots Radio presents I'm Awake.
This portion of the show is brought to you by MN350 and Ho Chunk Nation, the people with the sacred voice.
And here comes one of the sacred voicesist, the biggest voicesist, or the most sacredest. Welcome, Choka. This is Curtis West. He's our Dega, and this is What Does Our Elder Think? So what do you think?
Aho, Pinagigi Chushka and Chujunk. Yeah, I got a lot on my mind today, so I'm going to let it out, all right? So they let me do this. So
we're ready to hear it.
All right, I'm ready
Give it to us.
I'm ready to give it to you guys right now. But hey, my name is Mashke Hanajinga. I walk on the white clouds. My colonized name is Curtis West. And I got to say hi to my baby girl at home, my beautiful wife, Kim. So hi, baby. And I got to say ha-ho, and all the way out to Indian country out there in four directions. You know, all my family, relatives, and friends out there, we say that from Native Roots Radio, that we pray all is well. So I'm going to say it like that. And like I said, Chushke, he gives me the opportunity to express myself on shout-outs, birthdays, and events. So I'm going to start off with some birthdays right now, and there's a boxer here from Twin Cities, and Alan Litzau, man, the champ. It's his birthday today, and so I want to say happy birthday to Alan. I got one over here, and that
former Harding student.
That's right, and we got to give one that. Hey, Steve Fries, man, when are you gonna put some ad time up here from Peppers and Fries? So happy birthday to you out there. And then we're going to say it like that. And anyhow, we're going to send one out. I'm going to say she's a youngster like me. But I'm going to say a shout-out all the way down to Bagel, Nebraska. My little Nunu, Janet Bass. Happy birthday to you down that way. And we're going to say happy birthday to Roger Pettibone up there in God's country over there in Wisconsin. So I could have put you in the elders category, but I kept you young like me, too. So. Anyhow, we got one down there too. I know you listen all the time, and I want to say happy birthday to Kunu Buffalo. Oh. That's Stephanie Yellowbank's brother. So we're gonna say happy birthday like that, and then we get into the elders. Like I said, there's a couple minutes older than me, so I want to say happy birthday to my little mom over there, my Auntie Leona McKee over in Wisconsin.
I know she listens.
Yeah, she listens, and she loves us. And the one we're going to say, too, we're going to say happy birthday to Spencer Lone Tree over there. And he's on the border of Wisconsin and Minnesota. So we're going to say happy birthday, Spencer. And the one special one I want to say is to Barbara Whitewater. And say happy birthday, Barbara, to you. And then Chushke lets me do some shout-outs. And I want to give a shout-out to George Chili Mac McCauley and Sandra Whitehawk. I want to say happy. Oh. I want to say good ones out there. And then this shout-out's really important to me today. And I wanted to give a shout-out to my son, Dallas West. Yeah, he just got approved to go to Hamlin University College over there this fall. He's going for his MBA degree. So I'm going to say I'm really proud of you, Dallas. And I'm going to say it like that to you. And then, like I said, we always got to give a shout-out to Barry Hand. And we're going to do it like that. So
they got a taco feed going on right now. Yeah. I know we don't like to talk about those, but they got one going on right now.
Tacos. I'm going to come into that thing. They're still not too late, right now. But we got these events coming up. This one's starting on Monday, April 15th, and it goes through till the 21st. It's Jay Selby turns 2 years old.
Ooh.
So we want to say happy birthday up there. And that's at 169 North Victoria in St. Paul. And they said they're going to have a birthday cake. They're going to have happy hour up there. And they got new menu items on their list over there. So Jay Selby's, get out there and grab a piece of birthday cake. And
one of Wendy's favorite vegan restaurants.
I know
Go in there right after the show.
Hey, see? Get over there and meet Wendy and Robert, all right? Hey, and then we got the important thing we always talk about. It's a language class, you know, at Ho Chunk Nation. You know, all languages are important. But Monday at 5:30 is a beginners, and Thursday is advancing beginners get together at 6:30. And like me and Robert always say, you know, you can bring a dish to share, but if not,
Bring your feedback.
And anyway, we want to talk about another thing that's going on today. It's an Indian taco fundraiser at Eastview Rec, 1675 East 5th Street, you know, and St. Paul, you know, all proceeds. It's going till 2, but they're probably still frying some more bread over there. But all proceeds go to, I hope I'm not screwing this up, Wakinan Drum and Dance Society. So we want to bring that up for them, and hopefully they're still got some bread going over there. But
and they do good things on Monday nights over there at the same rec center. They teach you, if you don't know how, to sing and dance. So all you Wangshiks, come on out there and visit.
And the Wangshiks are the white people.
Wangshiks are natives.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Maichade is a white son.
I'm sorry.
No, that's okay. But anyway,
I'm getting my Ho Chunk words mixed up.
That's okay. That's okay. Chuzunk. But anyway, we got another thing coming up, and I hope it's not too late to get it out, but we'd like to do it anyway. That Dawnland Screening 2 at the U of M St. Paul Student Center. And that one's going on like that over there at 2017 Buford Avenue in St. Paul. And today from 9 o'clock, I wanted to bring this out because it's going till 9 p.m. tonight. So it's a 35th annual, they call it the Powell Circle of Nations Indigenous Association. That's at the Regional Fitness Center at 626 East 2nd Street in Morris, Minnesota. It's not very far to go to that Powell, but they wanted me to mention it's free and all are welcome. Grand entry for tonight's is at 7 o'clock, and he said, hope to see you there.
I was at a wonderful powwow last night at Minneapolis MTC, their second annual, and it was to celebrate all the graduates there. It was beautiful. And,
how awesome is that? You know?
And that's what sometimes powwows are, to celebrate things like our veterans and other things.
All good things. And then there's another thing I wanted to bring up, too, and Chuske was letting me do this. And we got a good sponsor, you know, the Midwest All-Star Wrestling. Tonight, it returns to the historic Mounds Theater in St. Paul. And they said, as we proudly present Promises. 6 huge matches.
Ooh.
See some of the region's best wrestlers, top-notch production at one of the best places in the metro to see live local professional wrestling. And they wanted me to say that the show starts at 7 o'clock, but doors open at 6.
Yeah, that's at the Mounds View Theater?
The historic Mounds right up there, and it's a beautiful
Mounds,
place.
St. Paul, yeah.
Mounds in St. Paul. But anyway, here's another one I wanted to bring up, too, and this is very important. It's a big event coming in on May 11th at Sibley High School. It's a Saturday night, and it's for the Women of Nations Eagle Nest Shelter, and I get a chance. They say 5:30 they're going to have a bunch of celebrities there for a
That's right, Jack.
and I get the honor. You know, and I really feel it an honor being a Wangshik, native man. That the guy for the main event, his name is Austin Arrow, and they're going to bring in a group of hand drum from Red Lake.
Mm-hmm.
And they're going to have some beautiful Wangshik women and regalia coming in, and that's for the main event. And that's it's going to be super cool. It's a good cause for the Women of Nations and the Eagle Nest Shelter.
I'm going to hide a metal chair underneath the ring, Jack. I can't wait, Gorilla.
Dega, do you have a native wisdom for us?
Yeah, I sure do. And this one, you know, thank you, Winona, for expressing yourself on today. And we appreciate you. And this one kind of goes when you were talking about Mother Earth. So that elder wisdom I got, it says, Mother Earth is not a business. She is a life. Also, she heals where she hurts. Pray with her and start caretaking.
That was beautiful. I love that. I apologize for calling Wong Chic white.
No, that's okay.
I got my
Don't
words
never apologize. Never apologize, because no, there's nothing wrong with that.
Well, in a different, I think Dakota, it starts with the W. I can't remember how to say that, but someone will tell us.
Yeah.
It's been in, and it starts with the W too, so
Hey,
it gets confusing.
Like what we say, Trijunk, we're humans, right? And there ain't nothing wrong with that, because we're a human being. And that's how I say, none of us are perfect. There's only one that's perfect. That's the who's upstairs in that creator, So always look at it like that. And
hey, do you got a word for the day?
yeah, I got a word for today. And this one goes out to my daughter. And I tease her with this one. I say, hey, how you doing, Doquera? And she said, what's that mean, Dad? I said, old lady.
And she's not that old.
No, but I call her that anyway.
What a great show again today. I would like to end with these thoughts from Chief Plenty Coops. The ground on which we stand on is sacred ground. It is the blood of our ancestors. The revolution is kicking into high gear. We need to resist, divest, join a group, run for office. You've been listening to Native Roots Radio. I'm Awake. I've been your host, Robert Pilot. I want to thank all the guests we had on today. Peony Gigi, Wendy, and Curtis for always being here. If you're listening to this show, you are part of the resistance. We are still here. We are the 7th generation.
We are awake.
Robbins Kaplan LLP protects and defends American Indian tribes because for too long they have faced a competitive disadvantage when litigating against powerful forces. With its American Indian law and policy practice, Robbins Kaplan LLP seeks to redefine excellence for high-stakes litigation representation in Indian country. Founded and led by former United States attorneys Brendan Johnson and Tim Purdon, their American Indian law and policy practice exists to bring justice to tribal clients whose claims